Second grade, what's going on? It's Mr. Hunter here. I'm here with your math lesson for today. You should have your page on 217, page 217, and then we're going to do work on 218. In the corner, what you see is what we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to do telling time, Roman numerals, geometric shapes, and counting by threes, 50s, 25s, fives. You're also going to be looking at something that's called meters, doing some multiplication. Naomi, I know you've been asking for multiplying all year since pretty much the first week of school. So now we're getting into it. And then we're going to be talking about the difference between a product, the differences, and sums. So products, differences, and sums. All right. So you have your page. You should have your name and the date. The name goes right there, write the date, and then you're going to be ready to work. All right. Are we all ready? Okay. Before we start, we always know that we have to do a little warm up for math. So I'm going to give you guys a math game. If you have somebody younger in your house or somebody else in your house, this is a game you can play with them. For those of you in second grade that have a younger brother or sister in first grade, you can play with them, or older brother, you can play with them. All right, what you need to do, all you need to have are a deck of cards. You need to have a deck of cards. So I'm holding this up right here. I have an ace. Let me get a different number. Let me get an 8. So I have an 8 and a 9. What you're doing, you have the chance to choose from a deck of cards. So you're going to have a deck of cards like this. And one of you, let's say Michael, you choose 2 cards, all right? And then the next person, Mackenzie, you choose 2 cards. What you have to do is you flip your cards over. So Michael, you would have an 8 and a 9. You have to add that up. So what is 8 and 9? 8 and 9 is going to be 17. So you have 17 right here with this 8 and a 9. Now, Mackenzie, you are going to have your cards. And you have, what do we have here? We have a 3 and a 9. So 3 and 9 is 12. So Michael had 17, Mackenzie had 12. Who had more? Michael. So Michael, you're going to be able to take those cards. And so now you have 4 cards. You keep yours. Now you have to get a set of 2 more cards. So Mackenzie goes, and then Michael goes. Or we'll say Ada goes, and Naomi goes. So Ada, you have a 10 and a 4, which is 14. So you have 14. But now, Naomi, you have a 4 and a 9. What's that? 13. Ooh, that's close. But guess what? Because Ada has more, Ada's gonna take Naomi's cards, and now she has that. And you're gonna do that for the entire deck of cards. Now, when you're doing this, you have 9, but then you go up to 10. Is there an 11? No. So the jack, if your parents are with you, a jack is 11, and then the queen is 12, king is 13, and then the ace is 14. That's how I play when I play cards and all of that. But you can do this with the cards. If you don't want to use these, you can throw those out and just do it with the numbers so you don't get confused. But that's a fun game you can play with adding the numbers. So it's teaching you how to count, identify with the cards, and you're going to take the cards if you win. So if you have 9 and 3, that's 12. If somebody has 9 and 3, that's 12. It's a tie. So what do? You keep your cards, and both of you select 2 more cards again. All right, so that's a fun little game. I hope it's entertaining and something that you guys would have fun with over the weekend, over the rest of the week. You can play it all the time. There literally is no limit. It's just teaching you math skills and addition skills simply by having fun without doing a worksheet. But for today, we are doing a worksheet. So we'll look at number 1. We're going to go through the problems together, and I'll explain to you what we're looking at here. For number 1, it says you're going to set the clocks. So it gives us the time at the very bottom, right? It says 1:15. Now, we went over this the other day. What is 1:15? Well, the little hand tells us what? The little hand tells us the hour. So the little hand tells us the hour, all right? And the big hand tells us the what? Big hand tells us the minutes. So we have the hour and the minutes. Now, we were counting around here. The 1. What is the 1 worth in minutes? The 1 is worth 5. So we're starting at 5, and we're counting by 5s all the way around. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and we go all the way around. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. All right. So we went all the way around. We have the numbers now on our clock. And if you have a sheet of paper, you can do that as well, or you can just look at your clock. The big hand tells us the minutes. The little hand tells us the hour. So we're going to put our little dot in the center there. And now we have to tell it. So it says 1:15. So which one tells us the hour? The little hand. So where does the little hand go? The little hand goes to the 1. So we're going to make the little hand there. All right. Little hand goes to the 1. And my marker is not working right now. There we go. Little hand goes to the 1. So we draw our little arrow. But now it says 1:15. if we're looking at this and we've already put our numbers around the clock, where does the big hand go? It should be easy for you when you're doing it this way. When you already put the minutes around there, you're going to know that the 3 is worth 15. So the big hand is going to the 15. And again, my marker is acting up, so I may have to get a new marker there. But the 3, your big hand's going to go to the 3. That is what we call setting the clock, okay? So you have to do that. Now, I wrote the numbers around for the minutes. You don't have that all the time. If you want to do it, it makes it easier for you, you can do that. But what I would suggest, keep practicing remembering all the numbers so that you don't even have to write them outside. If you need to do it right now, that's fine. But practice and study it so that you just have it already in your imagination, or not in your imagination, in your mind, and you know exactly what to put. Looking at the second problem, it says 8:45. I'm going to let you guys do that. You can use this example right here and know exactly where to put the big hand and the little hand. Little hand goes on the hour, big hand on the minutes. Number 2, it says write the time. But wait a minute, it has Roman numerals. But we know Roman numerals, right? I didn't email you your sheet. I'm going to email it to you today. It has all the Roman numerals on there for you. It looks just like this. So all the Roman numerals are there. I said I was going to email it to you, and I apologize for not, but that's going to be in your mailbox for your parents today, and you'll have that for you, and you can use that. But if you don't know, again, you're counting by ones. You can look at the clock next to you and just have it as sort of an idea. You know that 1, 2, 3, then there's one before 5, which is 4. You go all the way around, and it's asking you, what is 6 o'clock? So you're going to do the same thing there. All right, let's look at number 3. It says circle the shapes that are divided into equal parts. What does that mean? There has to be equal part. If there's 4, then we'll put that 4 down there. We'll circle it. If it's half, if there's 2 halves, then we circle it. But only if it's equal parts. So let's look at the first one. Does that look equal? With that shape, there's a circle there and it's split in half. Does that look equal? I think it does. So we need to circle that. And then you're going to do that for the rest of the problems there. I'm not going to tell you because I think you guys already know. All right. Okay. So looking at number 4, the differences. Now, when we talked about earlier, we said we're going to go through products, differences, and sums. Differences are when we are taking away, we are subtracting. So you know the sign for differences. Difference is going to be that. That's a subtraction sign. That's a minus sign. So really all you're doing are the problems. We're still working with the families of 11 to 18. So you have 18 minus 6. You take away 6 from 8. That's going to leave you with 2. And then you just bring that 1 down. And what does that give you? A 1 and a 2? That's 12. You can do the rest of the problems there. Simple subtraction problems for you to find the difference. Pay attention to those key words, differences and sums. And there's a new word, like I said, I'm going to introduce you to called product in just a second. Now, we are doing something in number 5 called finishing the counting patterns. This is where I really want you guys to take your time, because let's look at the first problem, all right? We have the number 27, we have the number 30, we have the number 33, and then there is a blank, okay? Now, can anybody tell me, just looking at those numbers, how many we're counting by? So we had 27. If you need to use your hands, you can just go up from 7. You see, 28, 29, 30. Oh, that's the next number. We counted 3 and we got 30. Oh, let's start at 30. 31, 32, 33. That's 3 too. Is that a pattern? What pattern is that? I think the pattern is we're counting by 3s. So now you look at it like this. I'm going to give you a hint. When you're counting, you see the thing that's changing? 30, 33. The only thing that's changing right now is the ones place. So what's after 3 if we're counting by 3s? We go 3, we go 4, 5, 6. So after 3 is 6. So we put the 6 down there. But then there's a 3 in the front, right? So then we have to put the 3. So that's how we get 36. Now, what's 3 more than 6? If you said 9, you are correct. So now you have a 9, but what do you have to put though? You have to put a 3. All right? And you're counting by 3s. You're going to keep going. There's 4 blanks there. So now after that 9, it's going to get a little tricky. But all you have to do, if you need to, you can write it out. You can use your hands. We don't want you to use your hand, but if you have to do it for the sake of counting right here, if you have a math chart, please use it. But you're going to go 39. You start at 39. So all you're doing is going up how many? 3. So you go to 40, 41, 42. Is that 3? I think that is. And I think that's exactly what needs to go in that blank there. And now the last one, if you're going up from 2 and you're going to 3 more than 2, you have to figure that one out. The next problem, We're starting at 50. Wait a minute. We're counting by 50? That's a pretty big number, right? Well, let's see what we can do. So we go 50, 100, 150. Did somebody yell out the answer? I don't know. I can't hear you, but I feel like somebody's yelling the answer at me right now. So let's look at a pattern. It says 50, 100, 150. I don't know. So what's 50 more than 150? If we don't know and we don't want to guess, you know how we can do this? We can do it as a math problem. So you can write 150, and then you're going to do a plus, and you're going to add 50, and then you're going to write it down. So what's 0 plus 0? That's 0. What's 5 plus 5? That's going to give you 10. Okay, so you put a 0 down here, and you got to carry the 1, and then you have a 1 plus a 1, which is going to give you a 2. So it goes 50, 100, 150, 200. So what's 50 more than 200? Well, if you need to do it again, here's what you can do. Add 50. So you have 0 plus 0 again. 0 plus 5, what's that? 5. And then what's the 2 bringing down? There's nothing. 250. So if you need to do it that way, now you just have to take 250 back up, and what are you doing? You're adding 50 to it again. That will give you the answers for the last two problems there. Even though it's a big number, it's the same steps. Do you guys understand? The same steps that you do for 20 plus 20 plus 2, or 2 plus 2, or 10 plus 10. They're the same steps that you're going to do for big numbers. You just have to take your time. All right, now on the next one, 125, 150, 175. What does that look like we're counting by? It doesn't look like we're counting by 50. So if we don't know, if we don't even know, like before we knew we were counting by 50, we just didn't know what the next number was. So if we don't know what we're counting by, you know what we can do? We can actually start subtracting. So why don't we take the second number, which is 150, and we're going to subtract 125. That's a way we can find out what's the difference between this, okay? So can we take 5 from 0? No, we can't. So what do we have to do? We have to borrow. So we're going to take 1 away from 5, and that's going to become a 4. We're going to put a 1 in front of the 0. That's going to give us 10. And 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay. So now we have 4, because we took away 1. We have 4 minus 2. What is that? That's a 2. So now we have 25, and all we have to do is bring down one of the, wait a second. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we don't have anything there. So that's going to be nothing. So it's 25. So the difference between 125 and 50 is 25. Are we counting by 25s? I think we are. Can anybody tell me what piece of money is worth 25? I was trying not to say it, trying not to tell you guys. If you said a quarter, raise your hand. If you were thinking a quarter, raise your hand. If you said something else, but you meant to say a quarter, raise your hand. Okay, everybody, we covered you all. All right, so this problem on the third line, you are counting by 25s, all right? It's simply just adding the number. So you have 175. You can write 175 on the board, on your paper, or on a sheet of paper separate. Then you're going to add 25. That's going to give you the answer. And then you just keep adding the 25 to the next one. So you get that answer, 120 or 175 plus 25 is, do you have it? Did somebody say, did you say 200? I think you got it by now. You got 200. So if you have 200, then what you're going to do is add 25 to 200. And you keep adding by how many? By 25, which is also the same amount as a quarter. Wow, you guys are smart. I don't think you need me. Because the next one, this looks like a pretty simple one, but we have to go through it. It says 60, 65, 70. Wait a minute. Can anybody tell me what we're going by? Hold it up. Hold it up. If you're holding a 5, if you're holding your hand like this, you are correct. All right, you got that. And then at the bottom, it's simply looking at the pattern. It says finish the shape pattern. So you see in the front, it has 3 circles. Then we have 2 squares. And we have 1 triangle. Then we have another circle. And wait, well, what do we need to put after the circle? Look at the circles that are already in the pattern. See how many more you need to put, and then see what comes after the circles. See what comes after that. All right, let's turn on page 218, and you are going to be doing dun 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 multiplication. All right, multiplying. Now, it says when one is a factor, the product is the other factor. What is the product? I'm glad you asked. Just like we have when we're doing addition, you have a plus, that is for addition, that is where you get the sum. When you are subtracting, when you are taking away, you are finding the difference. So the difference is for subtraction and takeaway. Adding and adding and doing the plus sign is what you're doing to get the sum. When you are multiplying, here is what you're going to use. All right, and I'm going to show you guys in 1 second. All right, guys, so I took a little pause there just so you guys could see everything. Now, when you have the difference, you are having a subtraction sign. That is a minus sign. So that's the difference when you're subtracting. When you have a plus sign, that is what the sum is. That's when you find the sum, and that is for addition. When you're multiplying, doing multiplication, the answer that you find is called the product. So I have a question. We're going to look down here, and I'm going to answer it because I think it's a question you're going to have. All right. So it says circle the product in each multiplication sentence. What are we doing? We're circling the product. And what is the product? The product is going to be the answer. So we have 6 times 1. So how many times did we have 6? Well, 6 times 1 is 6. We're going to put 6. And 6 is the actual answer, or we call it the product. Because how many times did we say 6? We said 6 times 1. So 6 times 1, anything times 1 is always going to be the same number. So 6 is going to be our answer for the product. Here's a tricky one. We have 0 times 1. And I'm going to give you guys an example of why something is always going to be 0 if you times it. You can times 1,000 times 0, and it's still going to be 0. Why is that? Well, I'll explain right now. All right, guys, so let's have an example here. If you have an apple tree in your house or in your backyard, and you have thousands of apples, and you say, you know what, I'm going to give away these apples because I have too many, and I know people like apples, I'm going to share. So if one person came by, and you said for every person that comes by, I'm going to give them 1 apple. So one person comes by, you give them an apple. You've given away 1 apple. If 2 people come by, and you give another person an apple, that's 2 apples you've given away. If one more person comes by, that's the 3rd person. You've given them 1 apple. So if you say, how many did you give? You had 3 people come by, you each gave them 1. So 3 times 1, you gave away 3. You understand? You've given away 3 apples all the time. But take the 0. If you have 100 apples, and you say, I'm going to give away 100 apples to every person that comes by, but 0 people come by, how many apples did you give away? 0. So 100 times 0 is 0 because you didn't give any away. What about if you had 1,000 apples and you said, every person that comes by, I'm going to give 1,000 apples, but 0 people came by. So you had 0 times 1,000. But did you give any of those apples away? No, because 0 people came by. So you see, no matter what the number is, 0 is always going to be the way, or 0 is always going to be the answer if you have it times something. So 0 times that you tried to give an apple because nobody came by. 1 person came by and you said, I'm gonna give 1 apple. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 people came by and you gave 1 apple. So that's 2 times 1. That's 2 apples you gave away for 2 people. 3 people, you give 1 apple to each person. That's 3 apples. 3 times 1 is 3. What about 4? It goes all the way up. So 1 is always going to be the opposite of the number that you say. If you had 300 apples that you gave away and you gave away 1 apple to each person. So 300 times 1, guess what? 300. That's it. It's really simple. It's really easy. So if we look at the one right here, the only time that 1 will not be repeated is if it's times 0, because you can't give away anything to 0. You understand? If you're confused, read it over again, replay the video, email me. I'll try to explain it better. But that was a way that I saw that I thought was really cool for you guys to get with the Apple giveaway. If you're giving away to no one, you can't do it. It's not possible. If you give away 1, it's always going to be the opposite. All right. So we have 0 times 1. That's going to be 0 because we can't give it away. We have 5 times 1. So we gave away something 5 times, 1 each time. So how many is that? 5, 1 times it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. On number 2, after we've already done an example, oh, and I didn't mention this. On number 1, you're not only going to do the product, you're going to circle it. All right. So you have the product 6 times 1. What is the product? The product is the answer. So you circle it. It's already done there. Now you're going to write the products. Now you have to do the math yourself. So 8 times 1. Do we know what that is? If you have 8, 1 time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it's going to be 8. What about 3 times 1? 3. It's kind of what we just did and reviewed. If you are struggling with this, it's okay. This is the first step, the first day. We're going to do more, just like we're going to do more Roman numerals. I'll send you some worksheets if you have questions. I'll try to explain better if you need me to. But this is something I want you to try on your own to see if you get it. Now, number 3 is really cool because it's a word problem, but we're going to be doing it with multiplication. So let's read it first. I'll read it for you. It says 3 squirrel monkeys. Remember what we do when we first hear a number. We circle it, underline it, and then you can put it down. So how many squirrel monkeys? 3. So we should write 3. 3 squirrel monkeys each ate 1 mango. Oh, how many did they eat? They ate 1. So we put a 1 down. So you have a 3 and a 1. Write a multiplication sentence to show how many mangoes were eaten in all. So we have 3 and 1. Is it 3 plus 1? No, we have 3 monkeys that ate 1 mango. So we should put a 3. And then what's the multiplication sign that we put? It's a letter in the alphabet that's right behind. Oh, did you say X? So we put a 3, then we put an X. And then what do we do? How many mangoes did they eat? They ate 1 mango. So we put 3 times 1. And then what's 3 times 1? I'll give you a hint. If you look at the section 2 right above, you just did it. So 3 times 1 equals 3 mangoes. Remember, when you're writing doing the word problems, you have to write the actual problem, how you did it. So you can't just write the answer. You could have wrote 3, but that's not what they asked. They asked you to write a multiplication sentence. So you need to show your work. 3 times 1 equals 3. Don't just say, oh, that's 3 times 1. I'm just going to write 3 because I would have to mark that wrong on the test. All right, let's move on. Number 4 and number 5, here we go. Number 4 says, write the plus, the minus, or the multiplication sign in the leaves. So how do we do this? Well, we first have to look at the problem, and then we have to look at the answer if it's there and see which one they use to get the answer. So we have 8 blank 3 equals 11. So if we put 8 plus 3, we have 8 plus 3, and if you have your number line, you can use it. But you can do 8 plus 3. So 8 plus 3 is 9, 10, 11. I think that's right off the bat. So we got a plus sign that we should put in that leaf, right? Because 8 minus 3 is not going to give us 11. 8 times 3 is not going to give us 11. So 8 plus 3. So we should put that there. Let's look at the one underneath of it. It says 14 blank 7 equals 7. The answer is 7. So they can't be a plus because we already starting with 14. So 18 plus 7, does that equal 7? I don't think that's right. 14 minus 7. 14 minus 7, is that right? Well, if you have your math line, you should try to write the problem out. You can write it down on the board there on your sheet of paper, whatever you need to do to try to figure out the answer. Is it 14 times 7? I don't know about that. Let's try one more, all right? We have 9 blank 6. So we're going to start with the first one, 9 plus 6. But I don't know if we should put plus because the answer is 3. So the answer is smaller than 9. So 9 plus 6 would give us 15. That's not the answer. So what about the next one? All right, 9 minus 6. If you take 6 away from 9, what do you have? I think somebody just said 3. I'm listening carefully. I can't hear you, but I think you just said 3. And if you said 3, you are absolutely right. This is the pattern that you're going to work, but be careful. They threw a multiplication sign in there somewhere. I want you to take your time, do the work, and if you need help, remember, just write it out slowly, slowly, slowly. If you have to rewind anything in the video for help with the concepts, again, I'm there to help. And then the last one, it says write the answers. Pretty much you're going to put the answers for what 1 foot is, 1 year is, 1 gallon, 1 meter, 1 year. All right? Any questions? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Let me know what you think of that card game that you're going to play as well. We're trying that out, all right? Hope you guys have a good rest of your day.